Have you been paying attention to any of the economic news going on with the economy? And it's not just the United States, but it's actually the global economy right now. What they're doing is they're raising interest rates to try to slow inflation down, and it's a mess, right? Well, I think I looked this morning and current inflation was at like 2.75%, right? And you've got the Biden administration claiming that they're doing good and we've lowered inflation and the economy's looking great and he's doing such a good job and rah and all of this mess. I wanted to address that though with the inflation. Inflation is measured in year over year. So this is August, we go back to last August. What is the inflation from last August, right? The thing is, before that, last August, our inflation rate was at 9%. 9%, man. That's insane. So we bumped it up this year another 2%. That doesn't mean inflation went down any at all. No, we went from a nice steady flow of inflation till we got to 9%. And then it didn't go back down. No, it just jumped up to 11%. Well, it's closer to 12% because inflation is a cumulative thing. Y'all are in the sun, just a second. Right? It's cumulative. It doesn't go backwards unless there's negative inflation, which isn't going to happen. So what is the solution to this? Well, the Federal Reserve, which is not a reserve and it's also private, it's not federal, has decided they need to slow this economy down, right? So what is the only tool that they have to be able to accomplish that? Well, banks lend money to businesses. Businesses put money in our pockets and then we put money in the economy, right? An incredible amount of spending is going on according to the Fed, right? And spending is just going too fast and it's causing inflation to go sky high and all of this. So if they can raise the interest rates at which banks can borrow money, banks will raise the interest rate that businesses and people can borrow money. This kind of shrinks the total amount of money that's being printed and injected into the economy. Why do I say banks? Why do I use the word printed? Well, printed is actually a misnomer. It's just a change on a ledger. When you go get a loan from the bank today for a home, let's say your home is $250,000. You come in, you put in your down payment, whatever that is, and then the bank gives you a loan, 250 grand. Do you think that $250,000 was actually transferred somewhere? Is there money that went from some account over here into another account? No. That money was created, right? It's created as a promise of debt. The money was created or printed, even though they don't actually print it anymore. They only print it to, if a dollar bill gets damaged, they print another one. So that money was created, brand new money, right? It just doesn't exist until you make your mortgage payment. Then that money is actually created. So your bank, all banks, when they go into a mortgage loan or anything like that, they're actually creating the money, the debt, because that's all our money is a debt. And that debt is not repaid until, you or I make our payment on that owed debt. Debt to us is a liability. Having money from the bank loaned to you is considered an asset. Think about that. Okay, so the Fed is wanting to shrink the economy by lowering the amount of money that's being lended into circulation. So what is the net effect of this? Well, businesses, most businesses operate on debt. They take debt out at 3%, and then that turns a profit of 10%, 20%, whatever percent that is. Normally it's around the 10% rate. So when they raise the debt, the interest on that debt to 7% on a company that only has a 10% profit margin, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them to be borrowing money anymore. And if you're in a business that, say, is seasonal or has a seasonal low, and you have to get a bridge debt, a bridge loan to get through the low season, right? That money just may not be available for a lot of small businesses and medium and large businesses as well. So that forces them to reduce their costs. The ultimate reduction in costs is employees, right? They start layoffs, they start firing people, they start letting people go, and unemployment goes up. So what the Fed is trying to do is shrink the amount of money to decrease the velocity of spending in the country. And they want to see that come down, and they want to see unemployment go up. These are the people that we've entrusted to make the decisions, right? They're going to thumb their nose at you in order to save their economy. And although the Federal Reserve is not federal, it is supported by those that are, right? So the president, Congress, the decision makers in the world that we live in are in support of this, because they get to shake their hand in the air and yeah, we did it. We fixed inflation. We fixed the recession. We've been in a recession for a long time, for a few years at this point. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like, that crash landing or the soft landing that they've been calling it. But if you remember, in 2008, everybody was talking about how the economy was going to crash, and they were correct. It just took a few years for that to happen, right? You remember the housing bubble, and then all of that, people started missing their mortgage payments and layoffs started happening, and then boom. It just took so long for those effects to actually be felt in our economy. Most people had thought, well, if it hadn't happened by now, it's probably not going to, right? I don't know, man. We were thinking it was going to crash, but it's still going. So maybe it's just going to, maybe we missed it on this one. That is the stage that we're currently in at this moment. The hard crash of the economy is still another year out. It may happen a little sooner than that. It may take a little longer. But in my estimation, this is August of 2023. And I'm going to tell you, the big economic crash is going to be another year or so from now. I could be wrong. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But make no mistake, the Fed, well, not just the Fed, but anything federal, your elected officials are trying to crash your economy, trying to crash your bank account in order to save face and say that they saved the global economy. And in order for that to happen, the majority of Americans, and not just, this isn't just about Americans, this is global. In order for that to happen, all of us have to feel a crunch. They want a good portion of us to lose our jobs. They want a good portion of us to not be able to afford to buy a home because interest rates went from 3% to 7%, which is hundreds of dollars a month on a mortgage payment. Why do we still trust these people? Do you still trust them? Do these people have our best interests at heart? I don't think they do. But make no mistake, they are going to crash you in order to save themselves. That's what they're doing right now. And that's not going to change. And it's just become so normal that people don't even think about it anymore, right? So if you're working for a company, small company, large company, doesn't matter. Over the next year, there are a lot of companies that are going to be in a struggle. Right. The place I work for, the company I work for, we went 2.5 years of working 6 days a week nonstop. And guess what? I'm sitting at home today on a Friday. They've completely canceled work on Friday and Saturday. They've canceled production for the course of a month. We don't have a whole lot longer left on that. We'll go back to, working Fridays again. But even at that, all year long, we haven't been getting 40 hours. And this is a very, very, very necessary company. I wish I could tell you guys who I work for. Soon I'll be able to do that. It won't be long and I'll be able to tell you that. But it's a company that you buy necessary to life items from every time you get paid. Every month you buy necessary items for life from this particular company. I'll say it's in the agricultural industry, right? I can say that. But they're all companies, retail, Bed Bath & Beyond, gone. It did the same thing that happened to Circuit City back, in the 2008 crash. The majority of Americans are going to feel a tight crunch, and it's up to you to capitalize on the money that's out there between now and then. Millionaires aren't made during a good economy. Millionaires are made during a bad economy. So what decisions are you going to do to put yourself in a good spot? Because most people aren't going to do that. The easy thing is to just ride out where you're at. How do you do it? You just make the next good decision, right? Maybe that next good decision is, we're broke, I'm not ordering pizza. I don't know. All of that's going to be different for you. But make no mistake, if you play your cards right, you're going to come out way ahead during all of this. And yeah, we got a little doom and gloom, but I want to end it with saying, and I've said this before, you are the primary common denominator in everything about your life. And if you think this economy is crashing, what are you going to do to make it not only, not affect you, but make you better? Because everyone within the sound of my voice has that ability. I guess that's about all I got to say without, rambling on down a rabbit hole. So anyway, until next time, you be safe.